What's going on, guys? I am Brandon Harris with Premier Fitness Systems. All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about developing a true core. So getting away from this idea that your core is all about having a six-pack. That's a piece of developing a strong core, but it's probably the least important. And in a lot of cases, the guys or girls that have a six-pack actually don't have a strong functional core. And in this video series, we're going to break that down. I'm going to give you guys some fundamental or foundational components, and then we'll start to progress that out to make it a little bit harder as we get stronger and develop that functional core. All right, guys, the first step to a stronger core is understanding the positions of your pelvis. So generally speaking, right, this is an anterior pelvic tilt or extension. This is a posterior pelvic tilt, or the opposite of extension, flexion. And when we're working on building core, we need to understand that. It's almost never advantageous to have an extended lumbar spine, so an anterior pelvic tilt. So initially what I want you guys to do is just lay down on the ground and start to explore moving your pelvis. So with your knees bent and your feet flexed, I want you to just arch your back. So we have an anterior pelvic tilt, and then we're gonna get out of that arch. So I'm gonna posteriorly tilt my pelvis and get into a strong position. So again, anterior pelvic tilt, I have extension. I'm gonna get out of that position. I'm gonna posteriorly tilt my pelvis. I want my butt just off the ground. I should feel the core. And again, we're just gonna move through those positions. So I have an arch, I have a non-arch. I have an arch, and I have a non-arch. If you're new to this, you want to do this, say, 10 to 15 times and just start to become aware of moving your pelvis in and out of those positions. So moving on in this progression, we'll go from that laying down position or that supine position on into a quadruped position. So now I'm on my hands and my knees, so I have a little bit more load. I want to be strong into the ground, so I don't want my scapulas to collapse. I'm pressing away from the ground, and the first thing I'm going to have you do is bring a hand up and feel your ribs. So the rib cage is anchored down. You should feel your core in this position. Okay, I don't want you guys in extension. If your ribs are up, if your ribs are angled up, you're in extension. Okay, we don't want that. We want the rib cage down. We want a good active core. So again, I'm gonna get into the ground. I'm gonna engage through the ground, press away, and I'm just gonna bring a hand up and gain awareness of my rib position. So I should feel the core active and my rib cage down. And we can do that a couple times on both sides. So I'm, again, gaining awareness of where my ribs are and feeling that active core. Once you do that, we're gonna get into that position with that active core, and we're just going to move the pelvis. So we're gonna disassociate the pelvis. So I have an anterior pelvic tilt, I have a posterior pelvic tilt. And I just want to get better at feeling those two positions. As I move through this, I'm also engaging my core. So to be able to disassociate your pelvis requires connection through your core and connection to your pelvis. Okay, so the next step in this process is we're gonna take that understanding of your pelvis position and we're gonna lay down in, let's call this like baby position. My legs are up, my knees are just inside of my hip flexors, and I'm a little bit outside. Now here, right, I can be arched. I'm in that anterior pelvic tilt. I don't want that. I want a good neutral position, if not a slight posterior tilt. If I'm in a good position, I feel my core working right now. So my rib cage is down. I'm in a slight posterior tilt, and I want you just to start breathing into your belt line. Okay, so a lot of times with this, people will breathe into their chest, and that's driving them into extension, right? You don't want that. So I want air in my belly. I want air into the side. I want air into the ground. And if I'm doing it correctly, I will feel my core firing. This is a lot harder than you might think, just to be in this position with a good braced core. Okay, once we find that position, we're gonna out of reach. I'm gonna try to take it even a little bit further, driving my low back into the ground. I'm breathing and bracing, and then I'm gonna start moving the leg. I'm gonna just tap the heel down, bring it back up, alternating legs, tap the heel down. Okay, as my levers get longer, it's harder to maintain that position. And my butt is just off the ground. So I'm in that slight posterior tilt. I'm creating a good anchored down rib cage with my core active, and then I'm gonna start to integrate those reaches with the leg, increasing the challenge and making it harder. I'd recommend starting with 10 per side with a nice slow pace, nice strong pace, really emphasizing bracing the core. All right, moving on with this progression, we're gonna integrate a little bit of weight. So with that last drill that we did, body weight, that was kind of a dead bug drill. We're working on bracing our core. We're gonna add a little bit of weight. I'm getting a 12 kilogram kettlebell. It's not super heavy, but done correctly, this can be an extremely efficient drill. So it's the same position. Okay, we're gonna lay down. We'll go ahead and grab the kettlebell correctly. We'll roll over, we'll get it, right? I'm gonna have you take it up, and then I actually want you to grab the bell, okay? The bell is just an easier position to grab, okay? From here, I'm gonna bring my legs up, and I'm gonna start to find my core in that brace. So just like we did before, I've got this little posterior tilt, my butt's slightly off the ground, my rib cage is down, and I'm gonna find my breath. I want air moving laterally, so to the side, and into the ground as well as the belly, okay? From there, I'm gonna wrap my lats, and I'm gonna start to allow the kettlebell to get deeper. The further the kettlebell is, the harder it is to maintain this position. So let's say I get right here, my lats are engaged, I feel my triceps, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm shaking, and I'm gonna start to drive towards the ground. I'm shaking, hopefully you can see that on film. Inhale, create a brace, take the leg down, and maintain it. This gets harder the further I go. I can start to take the legs longer, and I'm starting to feel my core work, creating a good, strong brace. Okay, so that again is a 12 kilogram kettlebell, and I'm working pretty hard to maintain that position. The orientation of your pelvis is what's important. We don't want an anterior pelvic tilt, right? We're shooting from neutral, if not a little bit of a posterior tilt, so your butt is just off the ground. You're driving air. We're learning how to move with the braced core, creating a stronger brace. And this is probably the ultimate bracing drill. And if for anybody that's a fan of martial arts and they know Bruce Lee, they might be familiar, you guys might be familiar with this, but it's a dragon flag. And ultimately, to be able to do this and do it correctly, you have to have a good, strong core and a pretty elite ability to brace. So with a stall bar, you could use a squat rack, really anything you can anchor into. And I'm gonna get in a position at about a 90 degrees, and I want my lats engaged, okay? From there, I'm gonna start to drive up, and I'm gonna find my core. I'm gonna create that brace, and I'm gonna take it as deep as I can and maintain it. Now I'm talking to you guys at the same time, but if I wasn't, I would be focused on breathing. So I'm trying to create that same brace, drive air in all three dimensions. So here, and back to maintain it. You can perform holds, you can perform reps. Now if that's too much of a progression, right, we can start to back it out, because you have to be able to get yourself in that strong position. So I can remove one of my legs or pull one leg in, and I can get the same thing. Okay, so I'm bracing, I'm driving, I would focus on creating good breath and maintaining that good, strong position. All right, you guys, so once we've developed a good ability, a strong ability to create that brace, we can start to progress it and play with different positions. So I'm gonna grab a kettlebell. I've got a 70 pound kettlebell, and I'm gonna attempt to get into a dragon flag position, which again is a good, strong brace core. So I'm gonna lay down, I'm gonna find my kettlebell, and you're gonna get tons of lat and tricep on this as well. I'm gonna drive myself up into this position. I'm gonna start to find my brace, and then from there, attempt to float. Now this might not be actually heavy enough. I'll try that again. You guys get the idea. I'm up, brace, and I can control it down. It's not quite heavy enough for me. I think I ate a little bit too much over the holidays, but you guys get the idea. I probably need maybe about 10 or 15 more pounds to actually execute the movement. But that actually could be a great drill in itself, where I'm driving up and I'm controlling the motion down.